The first NPC you meet in the Ringed City DLC is an old pilgrim woman who casts her gaze over the dreg heap. She talks about how she feels like a god, looking over this grand sight of kingdoms and townships come together. She then goes on to say, far below there's a deep dark hole carved out of a tree. From time to time voices brim in the depths of the cavity, even now. Mutterings of the very demon that Prince Lorien spoke of, I'm sure. Horrible sounds of an afflicted thing, yet cursing men. And if you remember, the demon prince was said to have been slain by Prince Lorien, eternally scorching his greatsword with fire. Turns out, he didn't finish the job, and to finish it for him, we have to go down. The first thing that you encounter on your way down are these so-called mercmen. You can find and use their hand scythes and their staffs, and some are even possessed by soul dregs, which are said to have a grave likeness to the human form. And it makes sense that these creatures of the deep would be down here, of course, because human dregs are supposed to sink to the lowest depths imaginable, and the entire theme of this DLC appears to be descent. Descent down to that demon prince the old woman mentions, and down to the Ringed City, even beyond that. But to get there, you're going to have to go past these angels, who I reckon are going to be responsible for most of your deaths in the DLC. In the room I was playing this DLC, everywhere I looked around the room, someone was dying to one of these angels. They're utterly relentless, and especially so in the second section of this area, which unfortunately isn't shown in the footage that you're seeing, and I think it's the best area. The second section is named Earthen Peak, confirming theories that the windmills we saw in the previous trailer were from there. I can also confirm it includes a poison swamp, Lothric thieves, the poisonous bug things, and a female desert pyromancer, and of course, an angel. Here though, the angel makes this entire stage into this huge stealth section. It's kind of like the Dragon God in Demon Souls, if you played that, where you have to hide and you have to wait for its attention to wander before you can continue. So you run from cover to cover, avoiding this angel's glare and hoping it gets distracted by another enemy and starts shooting them instead. Really fun. There's never really been a stealth component to this extent in Souls, and I didn't like it until I decided to be really patient, and then it paid off. I progressed and I figured it out. So, interestingly, those bolts of light that the angel is shooting at you, if you look closely, it actually disperses into feathers, white feathers that are akin to those that you see in the Lothric royal bloodline. We talk about that in this video, so that's definitely significant from a lore point of view, and additionally, and I'm not going to give too much away here, but these angels are linked to the Pilgrims of Londor, which raises some serious lore implications. So it might take you a little while to get past Earthen Peak and find the first boss, but when you do find it, it's probably going to take you even longer to beat it, because this fight really was quite tough. No one else I could see could beat it, and I only beat it because I left the DLC, I speedran to Rosaria, and I respec'd my character to get rid of all its faith points and put it all into vigor. My character was soul level 125, which is really high. This stuff is endgame content for sure. This fight has 3 phases. So first you fight a Crimson Bat, which is a simple, single bat that teaches you the boss's moveset, and then when you get the Crimson Bat to 50% health, it summons a second boss called the Demon from Below. And the Demon from Below looks virtually identical to the Crimson Bat, except that its fire is more purple than red. So the Demon from Below will get in your face, and the weak Crimson Bat will back off, and it mostly spams this ranged explosion attack that you can see here. So this is phase 2, and in phase 2, you obviously have a choice of which bat to kill first, and I think whichever one you kill affects the third phase of the fight. So if you kill the weakened Crimson Bat first, then the demon from below will turn into the demon prince, who summons these floating chaos orbs that spam long-range fireballs at you throughout the fight. However, if you kill the full health demon from below first in Phase 2, then the Crimson Bat will turn into the Demon Prince as well, except instead of the Chaos Orbs, this Demon Prince has the long-ranged laser beam you see in the footage here, and in my opinion, the laser beam is way easier to deal with than the orbs. It actually leaves him open a majority of the time, and it's a way for the developers to make Phase 3 easier on you to reward you for killing the full health demon in Phase 2 as opposed to the weakened demon in Phase 2. I hope that makes sense. But regardless of what you choose, when the Demon Prince is dead, you get the soul of a Demon Prince, and it reads, "The Demon Prince, after his defeat to Lorien, retreated beneath the earth, and lost the memory of the flame that burned within him, marking the end of demonkind." And further on, you find a small envoy banner, and it's just like the little ringed banner you get from Emma after you kill Vort. It reads, "This small banner was used by envoys of Great Lord Gwyn in days of yore. Face the ringed cliff and hold the banner high to summon facilitators of transport. For the pygmies who took the Dark Soul, the Great Lord gifted the Ringed City, an isolated place at World's End, and he gifted his beloved youngest daughter, promising her that he would come for her when the day came." So, the Dark Soul. Surely that's what lies deep below in the Ringed City, and surely that's our goal. And it's also the goal of others, I found. The Herald Knights, who became these bloated abyss creatures, according to their weaponry and their armor, they also sought the Dark Soul, but they sank into the dark with the rest of their legion, their gear becoming corroded, and their forms becoming all bloated. And there's another I can think of who seeks the Dark Soul, Gale. Now, he was featured in some of the promotional material, and now we know that's no coincidence. Hell, you can even summon him for this boss fight, and you know what else I found in the middle of the Earthen Peak swamp? I found a loincloth that looks identical to the one that Gale wears. So, somewhere, without undergarments, Gale is traveling towards the Dark Soul with us, I think. So, that's pretty significant from a lore point of view, and I'm not going to talk about that here. I'm going to talk about it in my notes that are below this video in the description, because there is a ton of stuff that I've intentionally left out of this video, and you can read all those notes in the description instead. I'll explain why in a minute. But in those notes, you can read about how I met the character Lap, who is an amnesiac knight who has forgotten who he is, and he's looking for the Purging Monument to cure his hollowing. I wrote down all of his dialogue, and I wrote down all of the dialogue for the Pilgrim Lady at the start of the DLC. Thank God I can touch type, that's so hard to keep up. There's also a list of all the weapons I found, including a pyromancy melee attack that slaps people around with a giant fan of fire. I've also included the secret to killing the angels, so spoiler alert, and I've also written down what I think that could mean for the story. And I've written down a lot more. And I would talk about this stuff, but I hate making videos that just show the same footage over and over again, and this is the only footage I have, and this stuff is really interesting, and I don't really want to talk about it behind this same loop that you've been watching for like, what, 10 minutes now? So I think this is the best way to get it across to you. But these are the kind of notes I make available for Beacon patrons, but today I'm going to share it with everyone because I need to share this early access, I really want to. Although, so many spoilers here, honestly, I think there's too many spoilers at this point in my notes, so be careful when you read them, you should know what you're getting into. Oh, and these next bits of footage weren't in the section I was able to play. So first, a knight with a brand upon his chest has this sword moveset that reminds me of the Soul of Cinder and Gwyn's combo, and he has an archdragon shield, which I think implies that these knights would have been around for the war against the dragons. so this city must be really old, if that's true. Next there's this long bridge sequence with this firing squad of knights that look a little bit like they have the ruined sentinel helm from Dark Souls 2, and there's the grey Judicator giant in the background, who is possibly summoning them. So please, leave a like if this stuff was interesting. Took a while to get it all written down, and thank you for watching.